I never thought I'd have to call a SWAT team to defend my own home, but that's exactly what happened after two men in fake police uniforms showed up at my gate claiming they had authority from the HOA. They thought they could scare me into compliance. Instead, they ignited the war that ended their entire scheme. My name is Jackson Ford. I'm 47, a retired security strategist for the Department of Defense, and I live with my wife Sarah and our 12-year-old daughter Emma on Ford Lake, the land my family has protected for 3 generations. I thought I'd left conflict behind when I walked away from designing fortresses overseas. Turns out, the most vicious battle of my life would start with a woman named Karen Bristol and a stack of HOA paperwork. The first time she showed up, it was a crisp morning mist still rising from the lake. A black BMW rolled up to the gate, and there she was, Karen. Blonde hair pulled back so tight it looked like it hurt designer suit that screamed, "Control freak with money." She introduced herself as the new president of the Blue Water Meadows HOA. I told her politely that she had the wrong house because Ford Lake isn't part of any HOA and never has been. My grandfather built this place in '63, and we've held the deed outright since then. Karen smiled the kind of smile that never reaches the eyes. She held up a thick folder and told me community regulations had been expanded to include my lake. She said I'd need to pay $950 a month plus a $5,000 initiation fee. I laughed. I actually laughed because it was so absurd. "Ma'am, I told her this land has been in my family longer than you've been alive. It doesn't belong to your HOA." That's when her mask slipped. She leaned closer and said, "Mr. Ford, are you challenging me because I have ways to encourage cooperation?" That night I stood by the memorial stone for my father, Robert Ford, who died in a flood rescue 15 years ago. The stone overlooked the water-solid granite with his name carved deep. I promised him I'd protect this place. But the next morning, Karen started her games. Every day at 6 a.m., a bag of rotten eggs appeared at my gate, leaking and stinking so bad the neighbor's dog howled. On the 4th day, Emma screamed. A bag burst right at her feet, covering her school shoes with some foul mixture of bleach fish guts, maybe hot sauce. It made my eyes water through a respirator. She looked up at me with tears streaming and asked Daddy, "Why does that lady hate us?" Something inside me snapped. This wasn't about property rights anymore. She had made it personal. Then came the nights. At 2 a.m, hidden speakers in the trees blasted screams, howls, children crying, and over it all a voice on repeat. "Please leave the lake. They are coming. The water is running dry." Emma crawled into our bed shaking. I went outside with an analyzer, tracked the signals, and realized someone had hidden multiple devices around our property. And then Karen filed a noise complaint. Against us. She accused me of running machinery at night. She was setting the board in advance like chess moving 2 steps ahead. I felt trapped. I started to wonder if I was wrong. Maybe I should just pay the fee. Maybe keeping this land wasn't worth putting my wife and daughter through hell. I sat on the dock staring at the black water thinking maybe I was the fool. Sarah saved me from that spiral. She pulled up her laptop and showed me what she found hidden in the audio signals. Morse code, a clear message repeating aquifer located, depth confirmed, proceed to phase 2. This wasn't about HOA dues. Someone was scouting the underground water beneath our lake. That's when I realized our home sat on top of something far bigger than we knew. Karen escalated by desecrating my father's memorial stone. I found the granite marker gone, replaced with a sign, "Area under renovation. Blue Water Meadows HOA." Emma collapsed in the dirt, sobbing, clutching the earth where her grandfather's memory had rested. My wife looked at me with fury in her eyes. I knew then Karen had crossed the line. So I went to Karen's house, a colonial mansion with cameras everywhere. I wore a wire. She opened the door in a silk robe, smiling like a predator who thought she'd already won. I asked for my father's memorial back. She told me it had been removed for environmental reasons, and then leaned back in her chair like a queen. That's when she admitted it, she wasn't acting alone. Morrison Development Corporation, a massive land grab outfit, was bankrolling her. They wanted my lake because underneath it lay a junction of aquifers water worth millions, maybe billions. She said it straight to my face. You can either be part of the solution or you can be relocated. Relocated. She said it like it was nothing. My recorder caught every word. The next morning, funeral wreaths appeared in our yard with our names on them, mine Sarah's, Emma's. In the driveway, a wooden sculpture of an alligator with its head cut off. Chalk letters beneath it read, "Nobody lasts forever." My daughter clung to me shaking. My wife's hands trembled with rage. I knew then this was no longer harassment, it was war. That's when the fake cops showed up. Two guys in uniforms that didn't fit right badges, crooked paper credentials, pixelated, and a white sedan with magnetic environmental protection unit panels peeling off. They said they were there to inspect contamination. I started recording, then dialed 911 on speaker. They froze like deer in headlights, backed up, and ran for their car. That's when I spotted it, a small electronic device bolted under our dock lights, blinking sonar pointed into the water. Military-grade surveying equipment. Morrison wasn't just scaring us, they were mapping our lake in secret. I knew I couldn't fight this alone. I made a call. I never thought I'd make, using an old code phrase, "Control, this is Architect 7. Echo 6 Protocol. Code Red." Within a day, 12 vehicles formed a perimeter around our property veterans. I'd trained civilian defenders, federal consultants who owed me favors. My people. Precision, not force. Documentation that would hold up in court. Karen responded with her own army. Black SUVs pulled into her driveway, men in suits, corporate muscle. We tapped her phone calls, and sure enough, she said it herself. Accelerate the timeline. Full takeover. Environmental, legal, whatever it takes. I want that family gone in 72 hours. We had her. But she tried one last move. She went on live TV. Pretended to be worried about me, said I was an unstable veteran with PTSD who'd surrounded the neighborhood with a private militia. She smiled through fake tears, painting herself as the victim. For a moment, I felt the ground shift under me. What if the world believed her? That's when Emma saved us all. My 12-year-old daughter went live on YouTube. With her phone in shaky hands, she showed the rotten egg bags, the fake cops, the wreaths, the recordings of Karen threatening relocation. She spoke with a child's raw honesty, her voice breaking as she said, "She took away my grandpa's stone." The internet exploded. Within hours, hundreds of thousands were watching, and neighbors who had once cowered under Karen's thumb started tearing down her HOA signs. The final showdown came at my gate. Karen marched up with her SUVs and a group of so-called environmental officials waving folders of fake contamination reports. She looked at me and said, "For Emma's sake, we can offer immediate relocation." That was it, using my daughter as leverage. I stepped forward calm, every muscle locked. "Mrs. Bristol, everything you've done has been recorded and turned over to federal authorities." Marcus, my ally from Echo 6, played her own phone call on a tablet, the one where she admitted she'd fabricate evidence and use children as pawns. Her face drained of color, but still she tried. "This is all false." Then the audio cut her off, her voice, crystal clear. Child endangerment, whatever narrative works. Her mask shattered on live television later that night when she screamed about water worth hundreds of millions and how no family had the right to stand in the way of progress. The whole world saw her for what she was, a predator hiding behind HOA letters. And that's where I'll leave it. Because the moment her voice broke into a shriek on national TV, the moment the FBI stepped in with handcuffs, I knew the fight was over. Karen Bristol lost. Never underestimate how far corruption will go when it hides behind authority. And never underestimate what one family can do when they refuse to bow down.